Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Language Facilitation Coaching and Q&A here on the Waves of Communication platform. My name is Marci Melzer, and I'm an intuitive speech-language pathologist and language facilitation coach and consultant. And today on the Waves of Communication.com platform, I have a discussion. We're going to have a discussion, and I've got a 3-step process for you to review today. We're going to be talking about this topic of unmet expectations. And so this is a real common theme across my platform. Because it's not uncommon for us as humans, especially humans in today's society, to have expectations about things. And so what I want to do is I want to talk to you about what happens regarding these expectations. So typically when expectations are unmet, parents they complain either inwardly, outwardly, you're feeling a sense of failure, things aren't working for you. And today I'm going to talk you through a process for when this happens. And I say when because this happens to everyone. We all have periodically in our lives unrealistic expectations, and you can use these mindset kinds of tips to help you with every aspect in your life. And of course, today I'm going to be flavoring it regarding expectations surrounding your journey, helping your child who's late talking shift from communicating through behavior and whatever limited speech they're using right now, and evolve that. Work hard, turn it into something better. You are expecting this of your late talker. Now, in order to have that level of expectation that they are going to step up and do, you've got to create the right environment for that to happen. And your expectations through the whole process need to be realistic. Otherwise, you're going to end up where I'm talking about right now. You're going to expect more of other people and yourself, and your process is going to fail, and then you're going to be stuck wondering why it happened. So let's talk about that today. Let's get into it. Now, I also want to remind you that this is a language facilitation coaching and Q&A session. So if you have a question, you're welcome to put it in the comments. I have 3 questions already gathered that I'm going to be talking about after I get through this 3-step process about expectations that I've pulled off of other videos that just in the past week that people have made comments. So we're going to talk about them. All right, let's get started with this idea here. Again, talking about unmet expectations. This is when you are feeling failure. You lost, you didn't pass the test, you didn't get the prize, it didn't work out like you expected it would. And if this is in your life, I have a 3-step process starting with step 1, which is this right here, where you are going to, the first thing you need to do is automatically, when you receive the failing realization, the grade, the judgment, it's either self-judgment or judgment by someone else that the things didn't turn out the way you wanted. And the first thing you need to do is identify the receiver of your projected expectations, because expectations are projected onto others. There's 2 ways. Expectations projected onto other people that we do this when we believe that we can't access the energy, resources, and or support to meet our wants and needs independently. So if you are projecting onto a speech therapist, any therapist, any doctor, any pill, anything else, that this thing is going to make myself happier. I'm going to get what I want because of this thing, right? And that's what happens when you project your expectations onto something else that's not your own activity. And here is the other receiver of the expectations. You could be projecting those expectations onto yourself when you feel deprived. So there is no one else you can project them out to. You've already exhausted all those other sources. The pill didn't work. The therapist didn't work. That other thing didn't work, right? Or you don't have one. They either didn't give you the result you wanted, fail, or you just don't have it, fail. And I'm stuck and I don't have it and I fail and I'm deprived. So I've got to figure out myself how, it's, you blame yourself because if nobody else can do it, I got to put on my own bootstraps, and I expect myself to be able to be this superpower and do all the things that you are already expecting other people to do because you feel deprived. You don't even have it in yourself. And so you fail your own expectations, right? So that's step one. You need to realize where these expectations are projected, because that's what expectations are. They are projected outcomes onto other people. I'm not responsible. You're getting it. Or I'm the only one responsible. And, like I said, they failed because either the outside person failed or you feel like you failed yourself. Because remember, these are your expectations. No one else has these expectations except you. And so if you are expecting, when I do something, I expect this to happen, those are the expectations you put on yourself. And the expectations you put on other people are, I expect when I deliver my child together with this other source, the pill or the therapist or the whatever I gave them, the diet, the thing, I expect a result to happen. You expect it. You didn't create it. You expect it somehow, okay? And again, this is what happens to cause the expectation, because first of all, when we realize where they were expected, the second thing that we have to do, step 2, is we have to identify the root of the expectation. So why? Why do I feel either deprived of these resources from other people or myself? Because you don't have access. You expect them coming from something else. Okay. So let's talk about, there's 5 of these. Expectations grow. Where do they grow? What is the root of them? They grow out of, number 1, dependence on others, right? You don't believe you can do it. Somebody else has to do it. So is your expectation that you are projecting grown out of a dependence on others? Because somehow you don't believe you can do it. You don't have access to it, but you believe in your heart that someone else can. Okay. And remember, that's not realistic. No one can make anybody do anything, let alone your kid talk. You can't even make your kid talk. So if you're dependent on someone else to make your kid do something else, you're going to project expectations onto them. Okay. So remember, we're talking about giving these up. And in step 3, we're going to learn how to give them up. But you have to figure out where they come from in order to give them up. So are you dependent on other people to get your outcomes? Okay. Number 2, the root of your expectations could have grown out of a lack of self-confidence. Yeah, I watch the videos. Yeah, I can't do it like other people can do it. One of the questions that I have today that I'm going to talk about is literally out of this. Your expectation of yourself. I can't even expect myself. I don't have what it takes, right? I failed. I tried. I failed, right? Even you didn't meet your expectations. Why? Because you didn't have enough self-confidence in yourself or the other person. Maybe you didn't give it enough time. Maybe I don't know. But this is where expectations grow out of. Lack of self-confidence. I got to expect somebody else to do it because I don't have it in myself, okay? Number 3, expectations grow from fear and worry. Again, lack of trust in myself. I don't know why. You don't believe. You're worried. You're afraid. So are you expecting that person to do it out of fear that other people are going to judge you, worry that if you don't do these things, if you don't expect these things, that, you don't know what else to do? I don't know. Fear and worry. Fear, I don't know. I'm out here in the blind, right? And of course you expect other people to do things for you. You give up at this point, okay? Now, expectations also grow from lack of control. So maybe You expect perfection, and you want your kid to do things your way because other kids are doing things that way. And you want to control the outcome. And you feel like you need it. You're lacking it. I don't have control over this situation, and I believe that I need control over this situation. So I'm going to expect myself to control the situation. And then it breaks down on you because you feel like you need control and you don't, right? But you feel the lack of it, so you project, right? Number 5, expectations grow. Sorry, my face is really itchy today. Must be allergies going or something. Expectations grow from sadness and feelings of loss. Okay, so remember, I failed. I got the diagnosis. I got the thing. I'm self-confidence. I'm a bad parent. I'm sad about that. I don't have the energy because I'm too sad. I'm grieving I just did an interview. You're going to love this interview. I just did an interview with a gal named Allison. We talk about grieving the parenting experiencing that you thought you were going to get when you thought you were going to have a chatterbox kid and you got a late talker. Just like those chatterbox moms are grieving the experience they have when their kids won't leave them alone and your kid's detached from you. Everybody's got this feeling of loss. If you're projecting expectations onto other people, that's where the expectations grew from. Okay, so now that you've identified who you're projecting them onto and where these projections came from, these expectations came from, the next thing, step 3, you have to do is you have to change. How are you going to have different expectations? We're all going to have expectations, right? But you have to just keep your expectations realistic so that they are met. Because unrealistic expectations come from all those other things, those roots of fear and worry. But you can swap perfection, control, dependence, lack of self-confidence. You can swap all of those 5 things I just talked about for happiness when you give up these unrealistic expectations out of these things and you develop your expectations with a plan, right? A plan to keep yourself happy. And here are 3 suggestions to help you do that. Suggestion number 1 is give yourself and everyone else a break. Give them a break. Give yourself a break. You're trying to make something happen. You're pushing against a brick wall that's cemented to the ground. That's what unrealistic expectations do. That's why you feel like you feel. So, quit, give up, take a break from pushing and controlling and replace your expectations and even just the expressions that you're saying. Think about what you're saying as you project these expectations, as you project the lack of self-confidence. I can't do, or you even the lack of self-confidence in your child. He's not listening. He can't do it. Isn't that what other people do? When they project onto your child, that makes you crazy. Are you doing the same thing? Give yourself and everyone around you, give your kid a break, give these therapists a break, give the pill and the diet and all that stuff that you expected to fix your problems without you being an active, easy part of it. I can't do it. Someone else has gotta. Okay? Or if I just keep doing this thing, eventually I'm going to make it happen. And it doesn't. You fail. You're pushing brick walls. Okay? Expectations that you'll just stay present and realistic. This is where we are. I got a brick wall. I need a different tool than me pushing it. I'm going to have to chip away at this thing. I'm going to have to get a better sledgehammer or something because this is not working. You have to change. Change your idea. Replace your expressions. This is too hard from, I just need a different tool, right? And then you're not expecting yourself to push brick walls or other people to push brick walls either because you can't. You get a different tool because you realize, yeah, we got a brick wall here. But there are other ways. Maybe we can go around. Maybe we can climb over. Let's work together and figure this out in a way that we see the outcome instead of, I know I'm never going to be able to do it, but this is all I got. You got more. You got more. Okay? Idea number 2 here is just do your best work. This is it. I know I can walk, and this wall might be too high for me, but it's 7 miles long. And if I just keep walking a mile every day, I'll get to the end and get around it. Like, you can start to problem solve these things. What is your brick wall? What is that one of those 5 things? That's your brick wall that you have to get over, up, and around. Disappointment, expectations, need to control. That's it. This brick wall is your expectation. How are you going to get to the other side and get to the thing you want in a different way that you can feel happy doing now? Nobody's happy pushing up against blocks, but guess what? I'm going drill shopping. I got the resources I need to get a drill, or I'm going to look and find the weakest point. Now I'm taking action that I know is going to get me in the direction of getting through this brick wall. Okay? Nobody is here to doubt the fact that you've got a brick wall. In fact, they have empathy for you. They care about you, these people around you that you're projecting. Help me, I got a brick wall. I need you to fix it. I need you to eliminate this brick wall for me. And they're all like, dude, you got the ideas in you. Even you yourself, you have the ideas in you. You know how to keep it easy, happy, safe, and fun for everybody, including yourself. If your brick wall is my late talker is stuck in echolalia, or they're stuck in isolation, or they're stuck in something, that's your brick wall. That's what's causing you to be frustrated. And they change. These expectations could be big or little, but they're all still unrealistic, right? Because they are rooted in one of those 5 things. So use the resources you got and do the best you can, okay? A little bit, 1% every day. That's what you can expect of yourself. Now, if you do nothing and sit around and complain about it, then you won't get anywhere, except for more bricks on your wall. So let's look at number 3. You need to squash the feelings of failure that have come from a history of pushing against your brick wall, because you have been pushing against it. That's why you've been putting these expectations and they failed you. So you got to squash these feelings of failure with feelings of gratitude for the energy and resources that you do have now today, as well as the progress that you accomplished yesterday, last week, last month, last year. Okay? You got here somehow. You're resourceful. You're watching videos. You're learning how to help your child. Give yourself a break. Just do your best and squash any feelings of, I can't do this. And just make it easier. Don't worry about the time. Give up the perfection in it. That's one of those things. That's the 6th crutch. That'll kill it. It'll kill your progress. Perfectionism. You think that perfectionists always do it the best, but how many people are perfect? 0. Even the top of the line, even the best ever. That's just the top of the line for the other people to shoot for. Even in the Olympics, fastest man on earth changes every time. Records are broken. Forward thinking is happening from 1% increase every day. You can do it too, okay? All right, so as I said before, this is Language Facilitation Q&A, and I have some questions from other people in the audience, so let's get started with them for Q&A today. And the first one comes from me in my life. And this is not an uncommon question, but it's always great to bring it back up again because obviously it's coming around. Now, I know that the Waves of Communication community is global, and many of my followers are living around the world in a place that isn't your original home. You might be from India and you're living in the Netherlands. You might be from Canada and you're living in the United States. You might be from the United States and you're living in Europe. You might be from Europe and you're living in India. There are different people, and even if they are speaking English and it's not the same English that you learned in India, right? And then you move to Canada where they say a boot and it's not, all of that stuff. It doesn't sound like the language that you speak in your home. You move to a new place that sounds different. It might even be the same language, but it sounds different. And you've got a late talking child that you've got to put into school. This is the situation that happened with me in my life. She's got a 3-year-old, so we're talking preschool age, prime language learning age. And remember, back home, wherever you are in your original mother tongue area, if you are in anywhere outside of the United States, as a very young child, you're already exposed to multiple languages just because of the nature of places outside of the United States. Even in the United States, like I said, we all speak English, but it's a lot different sounding in Chicago versus Texas versus California versus Boston. All English, but it sounds very different. So this is what's key, because we're talking with late talkers who learn from language modeling. And they are grasping the new language that they're shifting their behavior into speech. They're choosing to do that based on what they see and hear and is happening at the same time. So with that kind of background, let's look at this question. Me and My Life says my 3-year-old is only saying a few words. Our mother tongue and the language where we live and school is different. So now, which language should we speak with him? And the answer is both. You need to be using you as the language facilitator. Your job just got a little bit more interesting. Now, because you as the language facilitator have expected, you put your child, you literally move to a place where you are expecting this late talker to listen, learn, develop language from 2 different sources in 2 different languages at the same time. This is an expectation we have of this child. How do we keep this expectation realistic? You have to be very focused and direct in your language models so that you can help this late talker differentiate between the 2 languages that they are learning in parallel at the same time. Because we know that all kids, especially at 3 to 10 years old, are super spongy as far as learning spoken language, especially after they have grasped comprehension of their mother tongue. So in this case, we've got a 3-year-old who's already been listening and learning spoken language at home for 3 years, not using it, but understanding it, knows how to say a few words, and is probably very good non-verbally at getting wants and needs met. At 3 years old, they've also had a big move, right? Their whole environment changed from, I used to live in one kind of culture and place where they speak a language, and now we live. Transportation is different. The school is different. The stores are different. Everything is different in this new environment. You have the opportunity, the unique, wonderful opportunity to help your late talker understand and compare, how is this experience A, when we lived before, different from experience B? And you have to use both languages as you talk about this. So my basic suggestion is, when you are in the house, use your mother tongue about all the things in your house. That's how you start. Get the late talker more proficient in the mother tongue at home. And then when you leave, everyone leaves the house, everyone puts on their new language hat, including you as parents. Now, if this is not your proficient language and you don't know it very well, this is your opportunity to learn the new language together with the late talker. Even if you know this language, it sounds different to when you learned it in school or where you learned it, where you lived before. You also are tuning your listening to be listening to the new language. It's not just like pay attention. You have to literally tune in and process. You know how it goes if you're bilingual. You have to shift your thinking. Am I thinking in English? Am I thinking in Spanish? Am I thinking in Hindi? Am I thinking in Urdu? And then you might speak in Urdlish or Spanglish or Frenchlish, or whatever is coming out of your mouth, because in your head, you've processed it and categorized it, but it comes out like a jumbled mess. And this is what happens in most people. Your role as a language facilitator is to clean that up. You yourself, when you go out, think in the environment language. When you're at a restaurant, challenge yourself to model the language you need in the new environment and talk about why it's different. You're feeling the difference. You know the culture shock that your child's going through because you're going through the same thing. People are dressed different here. The smells are different. The food is different. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's better and you got a lot of cool things to talk. Maybe it's not as good and you're missing the things you want. You got that to talk about. Remember, your late talker is experiencing this cultural shift the same way you are. I have a family in my program. They're from Morocco. They've been living in the United States. They're going back to Morocco, and it's like a big sigh, a universal sigh that they can be back in their culture again. They don't have to sort of fight and explain and talk about themselves all the time in the new language. But it was a big transition because their kids got used to having things in the United States that they don't have in Morocco. And now they are feeling a sense of loss. There's a lot of perks, but there's a lot of give and take. Whenever you have a new situation and you're trying to get your child to be adaptable and flexible, here we speak this language, here we speak that language. So the most important thing for you is, if you want adaptability and flexibility and bilingualism, you have to model adaptability, flexibility, and bilingualism. True bilingualism that reflects accurate language models. No Spanglish, no French locks, no mixing it up in your models. Your late talker is listening every minute. So use the language that you want them to learn and be simple about it and go directly. In the workbook, this workbook, you can find the way to do it. And you can even categorize in the itinerary. I recommend you write in there what language you'll be speaking for each one of your language facilitation activities that you plan every week. You'll have them 4 times a day. The opportunity is to teach both languages, and your child will learn them both at the same time through this process. So that's what you got to do. Okay, here's a nice little comment I got from Richard Dias. I wanted to, it was just really important that everybody sees this, because we talk with expectations a lot about what we want, right? And what Richard Dias found is the most important thing she learned by being a language facilitator is that when you expect less, you get more. And that gives a wave. She can feel the energy of real peace and happiness in her life. So the expectations are not getting you there faster. This business of if I do more, I'll get more is not true, because it's failing, right? You wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't. Here's my last question. Don't forget, this is Q&A. If you've got a question, go ahead and post it in the comments. Say hello, visit in there, either live or on the replay, and then I might get to your question on the next video. Here's the last one. And this came from Facebook. And she says, I'm a quiet mom. In my home, I kind of analyzed this and put it together. In my home and community, I'm not very chatty naturally. What new habits can help me talk more for my late talker? So this is, remember, with language facilitation, your late talker needs to hear you speaking to them, with them, around them, about the things that they are thinking about right there in the moment with them. Cumulative. It doesn't have to be in a 2-hour stretch, of course. Nobody's going to give anybody that kind of attention. It might be in 5-second stretches. It might be in 20-second stretches. It might grow to 2-minute, 20-minute. This is the idea, because you're attracting the late talker to come and listen to you, just like you, if you go to the big box stores or the grocery, and someone's giving out a little sample of your favorite pizza, right? And you never tried that brand, but you like pizza, so you'll try it because it's related, it's familiar to you. If it was like, I'll give you this pile of dirt to eat, you would say no thank you, because that's not familiar. But remember, with attraction, you've got to be attractive, and you got to know enough about your audience to be attractive. You don't offer them stuff they don't want. So if you're naturally quiet, you automatically probably have a greater intuitive connection with your late talker. You're real good at guessing, or they're real good at guessing, or they might be very independent and they don't need you unless they need you. You know, they don't come and communicate unless they need something from you or need you to help them. Okay. And that's how you get to be a quiet mom. Maybe that's how it was in your household with your mom. But how do you get to be more chatty if you're normally quiet? Well, first of all, I love that you're realizing that you're not chatty, and you're also feeling, right? You're feeling in yourself this resistance. It doesn't feel good to talk. I don't feel right. And that's because you're trying to do it. Your expectations of yourself are too high. Remember, if everybody's got to do this, you've got the brick wall. If you just say, well, I'm not a chatty person, so this isn't going to work for me, that's you literally continuing to push, or just sitting down next to the wall and just saying, okay, well, this is my wall. I like my wall. I like my blockage. I'm just going to sit here and be with it. It's my comfort zone. It's where I am. And then everybody around you gets really tired of you complaining about wanting to get to the other side of the wall, but all you got's a wall. It's my wall. It's my wall to have, right? That kind of thing. Okay. You can choose to sit down, or you can choose to do something to help you. And so if you're not normally chatty with, your late talker about brushing teeth or things like that, get chatty about things that you normally get chatty about. What do you love? Yourself. When you think about yourself, because you're trying to change your own feelings. I want to like this. I want to have a good time with this. I want to enjoy. I want to give up perfection and feelings of loss or disappointment in myself. How can I expect myself to talk 2 to 3 hours? I don't do that. And that's because you're expecting yourself to talk 2 to 3 hours tomorrow. So why don't you expect yourself to talk 5 more minutes tomorrow, and then 10 more minutes the next day, and then do that for a week and see how you feel? Because what's going to happen when you do start chatting and expressing with your late talker, the whole reason you don't feel like it works is because it hasn't been working the way you did it before. But if you come at this with a new tool, a new strategy, a new way to go about it, and the kinds of hits you can do is just start talking more slowly, just start smiling more, just pick one thing and talk through it and see the reaction from the late talker. And I'll tell you what, when they look at you and smile at you and long for you, grab your face because you start describing things that you do and talking about why and how and telling stories about your day and how proud you are of this late talker's brilliance and independence, you won't shut up. You'll find stuff to talk about. Okay, you will. All right, let's see. Hey, hi, Lori. Thanks for coming back next week, every week. My constant mental battle is the deception from setting expectations that my kid will do this or that by a certain time or occasion, when in reality, I know he'll go through every step at his own pace. Well, it's true. This is exactly what we're talking about. This is why I made this video, Lori. And here's Lori, who's here every week, and she's talking, think about the progress that you have gained, Lori, in just the time that you've been watching these videos. And here's what she says: your videos help me trust in myself to stay away from these expectations. Excellent. Yay! Bravo for you, Lori. I'm super happy that you can do that, because it's easy to fall into this. And I did this video. This isn't what happens to some people. Every single person who watches my videos, every single parent I've ever worked with, every single colleague I have ever communicated with has gone through this, where we expect too much of ourselves, we expect too much of our audience, we expect too much of whatever. That's why I've got to give you things to do. Now, I do have some expectations of you. I do. You can't sit down next to your wall. Once you realize what it is, it's staring you right in the face. It's up to you to decide to do something a little bit different. 1%. Expect that of yourself. Expect that of your late talker, because you do have to have a little bit of expectation. We want them to show up. But remember, they're not going to show up unless they feel that the experience is going to be easy, happy, safe, and fun. All 4 things. Easy for them to do. Happy, where, wow, this is nice. This is cool. No pressure. No pressure. I'm happy to show up on my own. Safe, without the feeling of judgment. I'm safe to make mistakes. I'm safe to project whatever I'm feeling in the moment, because that's necessary. Trial and error is necessary. It's safe to trial and error without judgment, and fun. If it isn't fun, they don't show up in the first place. And then all the rest of them fail, right? It seems impossible. It seems unhappy. You're sad. You're frustrated. You're failed. You know what I mean? And that's why the progress goes like this. We call it waves of communication, because you have it in you to make these things happen. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining me today. That's it for now. Keeping this video short so you can get out and do it. We've got some big astrology going on, volatile things happening. It's time to get your best foundation set forward. Next week, I'm going to dig into getting back to school. So those of you who are sending kids back to preschool, elementary, maybe for the first time, maybe for the first time since the pandemic, maybe you've decided to homeschool this year. We're going to be talking about back to school next week, strategies on Thursday. So don't miss it. Subscribe to the channel, like this one if you liked it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.